All right, y'all. So I wanted to make an updated video on the garden. I just wanted to show everybody how much the garden has grown and also to show you guys how all the plants are doing. And yeah, you'll get to see how I expanded the garden as we go along in the video. But let's go ahead and start in this section. Okay, so I have my cabbage beds. So this time around, this is my second time growing cabbages. I am new to gardening. And this time around, I have 3 cabbage beds. Now, in this bed, I bought those as a transplant and I moved these cabbages into the bed. Oh my gosh, I have a bumblebee that's like buzzing right at my ears, y'all. So they're supposed to be gentle and docile, so hopefully I'm not stung. But I moved these cabbages into the bed 2 months ago. So, well, this bed and this bed, these cabbages were bought as transplants, and I moved them into the bed 2 months ago. And then these are also transplants. I moved them into the bed. They are approaching 1 month. So they were transplanted into the container a bit late because I was trying to find a container to put them in. So yeah, but I'm glad to see that they are thriving. And this is how this is looking. And then alongside the cabbages, I did plant some, I keep forgetting if these are marigolds or forget-me-nots. I think these are forget-me-nots. So I planted some forget-me-nots in this bed because I heard that they were great companion plants for cabbages. So these are forget-me-nots that were winter sowed that I transferred into this container. And then in this bed, these are marigolds. Now, as we move over here, these were garlic that I planted towards the end of last quarter. And as you can see, I am not going to be getting any garlic this year, but that's okay. That is okay. The reason why I'm not going to get any garlic is because, I mean, this bed has been through so much, y'all. It was snowed on, heavy rain. So yeah, that's the reason why it looks like that. But that's okay. I will be starting again. Yeah, so this is how this is looking. We can just move on to the next bed. Now over here, I have some loose leaf lettuce. These are lettuces that I grew hydroponically. And then after a week, I transferred them to soil. Oh my gosh, this bumblebee is like right next to my ear. All right, so these were about a week when I transferred them to the container, and I am surprised to report that they are thriving. I did not expect them to survive just because when I transferred them, they were very tiny and just frail, and I thought at the time I transferred them, I thought I transferred them too soon, but it looks like they are doing well. I am surprised. So these lettuces are a couple weeks. So they've been in the soil for about a couple weeks. So 1 week in water hydroponically and then 2 weeks in the soil, and this is how they are looking. This is my first time growing lettuce, and yeah, I'm very surprised to see how well they are thriving. Now, the first time I did try to grow lettuce, it was not successful. I actually tried to grow lettuce twice in this container, both times in the soil, and both times were failed attempts. So I think this is going to be my new favorite way to grow lettuce. Just start them out hydroponically at first, and then wait 1 to 2 weeks later, transfer them to soil. Now, in this container, I have beets. So these are beets that I did winter sow, and I don't know if these are going to thrive. I don't know. I have no idea, but I am giving them some time to maybe pick up. I do have to remove these weeds. The beets are I'll just put it in the screen. But yeah, these are beets that I winter sowed, and I just transfer them to this container. Just continue to follow my journey, and yeah, we'll see how they do. Now, this is the other container that has the cabbages, and yeah, as you can see, they are thriving. Now, this time around, I have been fertilizing them. The first time I didn't. So, yeah, you got to make sure you feed your plants, guys, because if not, they're not going to grow. And then you guys can see my rosemary. Now, the rosemary has been here for about 8 months now, and they're very low maintenance. So I did purchase the rosemary. It is a transplant, but you know, it doesn't die. It's very low maintenance. You just leave it there, and they don't like to be watered too often. So they like for the soil to be drier, a little on the drier side in between waterings. But there's not really much maintenance to do with rosemary. So I'm happy to see that they're still doing well. Now, over here, I have some thyme, and these were bought. I have to find a container to put them in, but in the meantime, they are going to be here, and I think I'm going to put them in my herb garden, but we'll see. And then over here, we have carrots. Now, I don't know what's happening underneath the soil, y'all. I don't know if I'm going to get some carrots, but I've been holding on to hope. Hopefully, something something happens, or something is happening in this container. These carrots were winter sowed, not winter sowed, but the seeds were planted. I think it was October of last year. I will put the information on the screen because I'm not certain on that date, but I think it was sometimes in October. And I don't see a lot of progress with them. They still look to be on the seedling side, and I thought they would have been further along. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on in this bed. I'm happy to see that the greens are there, but I don't know if I'll be getting any carrots. So we'll just have to wait and see. Now, in this little container, I have some radishes. This is the third time I've been trying to grow radishes, y'all. And I did not think that these seeds were going to take off, but it looks like something is happening here. I mean, we may be getting some radishes soon. I don't know. But as you can see, only some of the seeds germinated and they are growing. So I will continue to monitor this container and see if we get some radishes. Now, as we move over here, this is the cucumber bed, and I started them indoors. I have a total of 6 cucumbers. So I started them indoors and I just moved them into the garden a couple days ago. And this is how they're looking. And as you can see in some of them, they are flowering, which is exciting to see. And I think these are the kind that you have to self pollinate. This is my first time growing cucumbers, y'all. I have 4 in this 45-gallon container. I still have 2 inside that I have to find containers for. So I will be homing those this coming weekend. I just have to get more soil and I have to get a bigger container. But I am so happy to see that they are starting to flower, and we will be starting the pollination soon. Now, in this bed, I did plant some bush beans. So I have bush beans planted in between the 2 cucumbers. So I built this trellis right in the middle and then planted 2 cucumbers on each side of the trellis so they have, room to climb. And then in between the 2 cucumbers, I did plant some bush beans. First time growing bush beans. And I planted the seeds a couple days ago when I transferred the cucumbers to this container. So yeah, we'll just have to see how they do. Now, I heard that bush beans, they don't take a lot of space. So I thought it was going to be an issue or too crowded in the container planting those bush beans. But when I did my research, I learned that they do not take up a lot of space. and they're very compact, so they stay low while the cucumbers will be climbing up the trellis. So I don't think spacing or overcrowding will be an issue. We'll just have to see what happens, but I think we should be fine. So I have some bush beans planted here, and then I have some bush beans planted on the other side. All right, so now in this container, I did plant two jalapeno peppers. So we have jalapeno peppers that are planted here. And I think the container that it's in, I think it's big enough to house two jalapeno peppers. I think this container is 10-gallon, so it should be enough space to house two jalapenos. Now, as you can see here, I did have to add a stake, like a little stake to sort of support this jalapeno because we had a rainstorm the other day and they were just leaning over. So I added that stake there just to give them a little bit of support. But yeah, first time growing jalapenos. And now when I transfer them into the soil, I did add a little bit of fertilizer. So I'll continue to fertilize them every few weeks and hopefully they do well. And y'all, over here we have the cucumbers. I have a total of 7 cucumbers, y'all. 7 cucumbers. Like, this is crazy, but this is the setup that I have it in. So they're all growing in 15-gallon grow bags. And I had to build or engineer this system to put them in because, they have to be off the ground. I had to engineer something to house all these tomatoes. And I can make a separate video on how I built this system and the trellis method that I used. I just put 2 poles and then they're on top of cinder blocks as well as the wood so that they're off the ground. And as you can see, they're supported by, like I did the Florida weaving method. So they're supported by that. All of these tomatoes were started indoors 2 months ago, and I transferred them to the garden a couple days ago. And I have a couple of varieties that I'm growing. This variety is cherry tomatoes. I have beefsteak over here. So this is beefsteak. This is cherry beefsteak. I have cherry over here, beefsteak over here. So as you can see, I didn't put them together, like the two big varieties. I try not to put them side by side because I know they can grow to be big. So I put two of the smaller varieties in between them so they can have more room. And then the rest are cherry tomatoes. And then in this one by itself, this one is, let's see, this one is Roma tomatoes. And in between them, I have the little stake method, just to kind of support them. But when I planted them, I laid them down slightly because they were tall. So I just trimmed some of their lower leaves and then I laid them under soil. But I'm happy to see that they are doing well. And this is my first time growing tomatoes, y'all. So I don't know what to expect, but I'm hoping that I get tons of tomatoes this year. Last but not least, I have my herb tower. So in this tower, and it's not getting a lot of sunlight, I'm thinking about moving it somewhere else. We'll see. But I did transplant or transfer my basil. So I have just one pot of basil left inside that I think I'm going to be moving to one of the tomato bags. But I have basil in these two containers, and then I have parsley. Now, this is parsley that I have been growing indoors for 3 months. So as you can see, they are still producing. I harvested 3 times from the parsley and they're still producing. So yesterday, I planted some new parsley seeds. So I'm hoping to get some more. And then this is how the basil is looking. Now, the basil itself is about 1 month old. So I started these from seeds indoors about a month ago. And yeah, this is how they are looking. And I think for this container, I think I'm going to be planting the thyme. I'm not sure yet. Maybe I'll transfer that into a bigger bucket. But yeah, I'm still deciding on what to plant in the last container. Yeah, so I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Don't forget to check out the previous video, and I will see you all in the next one.